What's up, everyone? It's Scotty with MoneyVest. So markets here continue to trade at somewhat higher levels, but it doesn't really feel like a green day because PayPal, Enphase, Tesla, all of them selling off. So yeah, but anyway, I mean, NASDAQ, S&P, and the Dow Jones more specifically back over 38,000. S&P trading back almost at 4,900. So we're pretty much at an all-time high. But my portfolio is not because of how much Tesla dropped. And I did a video earlier on Tesla down over 12%, Enphase selling off, and PayPal also with their innovation day was not able to yield as much interest or appreciation in the price. I'm going to be doing a separate video kind of going over everything that PayPal announced and what that means for the stock and the company moving forward in a separate video. As always, if you enjoyed this video, find it helpful, make sure that you drop a like. I would really, really appreciate that. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. The links to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below if you're interested in joining us, and of course, getting access to all the members-only private videos. Everything's going to be included. There's a 16% annual discount that expires at the end of this month, so 5 more days left with a couple more spots. And you get access to our watch list, all of our trade ideas, trade alerts, options alerts. Everything's going to be included with a link down below. So this right here, again, is the market. So pretty much, at an all-time high, S&P and the Dow. NASDAQ still has a little bit of ways to go, but of course, since a lot of the people watching, our content on MoneyVest and just in general, like we talk a lot about technology, you'll notice that Apple, Tesla were down. And we did have, of course, Enphase and PayPal also selling off. So it may not feel like an actual green day, but overall, we did have Google hitting, I think, a new all-time high. So congratulations to anybody who's kind of stuck through this company. It's I believe it's an all-time high here, 154.76. And then, of course, yep, so I think that's an all-time high. Microsoft at an all-time high. NVIDIA at an all-time high. AMD at an all-time high. Amazon still has been one of the underperformers, so it's nowhere near close to its all-time highs just yet. But, of course, it's making a decent recovery back up to 188. So that right there is going to be that level. And Apple pretty much at an all-time high as well. So the entire Magnificent Seven, the core tech, has done incredibly well, except for Tesla, which has struggled even in 2024 here, is just not really doing any better. 2023, of course, did more than double because it was coming off from such a low price. And of course, 2024 has not been so great. But everything else, over $1 trillion valuation, easy. Netflix and Tesla are the only two companies that are struggling. Meta at an all-time high, over $1 trillion valuation. Microsoft at over $3 trillion valuation at an all-time high. Amazon over $1.5 trillion valuation, but still not near close to its all-time high. And Apple, of course, $3 trillion all-time high. Google over 1.5, I think, or might have been 2 trillion. Could be 2 trillion. I could be wrong on Google here, but the bottom line is, of course, NVIDIA, AMD already all-time highs and huge market cap milestones. There we go. Google almost at 2 trillion. So that's the thing, right? I mean, so much concentration, so much money has kind of flown into these companies that they have just absolutely taken off like crazy, and they continue to move higher as 2024 progresses, and there's a lot of rate cuts that are being priced in. So this is where we are. Adobe also with a very, very nice gain. Oracle, NVIDIA, AMD, of course, Google, Meta. Intel, I think, reported earnings after the markets closed today. I'm still going to break down a lot of earnings for a lot of companies. I still have to get around kind of breaking down a lot of those, but we do have futures not looking so great with the NASDAQ futures down over 81 basis points right now. QQQ right now, of course, trading at 12 basis points higher, but on the 4-hour chart was down over 61 basis points after hours. So again, we are seeing futures pointing to a very brutal open. Tesla was down even more. Enphase was down even more. PayPal was down even more after hours. So we could be getting ready for a little bit of that profit taking and just some more potential selling pressure from the market as well. So this right here, I guess the entire market, a lot of sectors pushing higher. Consumer cyclicals were the only one that were down in the last 1 week. Of course, most sectors are green except for consumer defensive, cyclicals, and healthcare. In the last 1 month, we still have a little bit of a split market with feeder cattle, natural gas, lumber prices, live cattle all pushing higher. Orange juice, coffee, sugar, and cocoa pulling back, and Bitcoin just back over 40,000, and Ether just a little bit over 2,200 as well. So if you take a look at QQQs, we are certainly very, very overbought here, as we have already discussed. And the bottom line is that when we talk about these overbought, oversold conditions, these are never really predictions. So I want to be very clear that every time we talk about the technicals of the market, they are never predictions that this is going to happen or that's going to happen, because At the end of the day, like I've tried to be as clear as possible that nobody really knows where the markets are going. Nobody in the world can predict where the markets are going to go. I think we all need to be on the same page and understand that nobody can do that. Now, understanding that nobody can make predictions, what can be done? What can be done is simple assessment of how good the risk reward is, how favorable the risk is versus the reward that we're potentially looking to get. So in this environment, if you take a look at the NASDAQ, the markets in general, the S&P 500, we're at an all-time high. Valuations at over 21, 22 times earnings. We're certainly overbought from a technical perspective. Most stocks are trading above their moving averages. Most companies are trading at all-time highs in Magnificent Seven, and valuations have gotten to $1 trillion, multiple $1 trillion. So it's pretty ideal. I think it's pretty common sense that there's been a lot of momentum. There's been a lot of optimism. The sentiment's been very strong. So am I a buyer of a lot of these stocks here at these prices? No. Simple answer is no, right? So if the markets do end up pulling back, let's say 4%, 6%, 8%, which is a possibility, right? Up to a correction, a 10% correction is possible. It's not even going to knock us down that much. I mean, we're only going to be coming down to that 100 SMA, down to like 14,000 on the NASDAQ, and S&P is going to be coming down to, I believe, 4,400 or something. So it's going to come down to around 4,400. Yeah, so pretty much exactly at that 200 SMA, which is a possibility. Not saying that that's going to happen, but if it happens, we are ready to deploy cash. We're ready to take advantage of those. A lot of the money is made by being patient, right, and waiting for the prices to come to you. Money is not made in the markets by chasing stock prices higher and having that urgency to deploy cash, right? It's not, it's the other way around. It's by being patient and letting the deals come to you, letting the prices come to you, and being patient for when you want to deploy cash, when the risk reward is pretty good, pretty solid. Also, when you feel like really, like another gut check that you can do when you feel like you're actually making a good decision is if you feel like you feel nervous, you feel anxious by actually putting money into the market. You're like, ooh, I don't know, like the markets are selling off so much. Should I really be buying right now? Like that type of, when you feel that, when you experience that, is a good indicator that, okay, you're buying it at when there's distress. You're buying when most people are selling. You're buying when there's panic out there. Buying right now kind of feels like very comfortable, right? I mean, markets have been rolling higher and higher. It kind of feels comfortable. You're like, okay, I don't have to think that much. Just buy. Everything's going up. That is a recipe for future disaster. So when you actually feel like you're throwing money into a fire pit and whatever you buy keeps going down and you feel actual fear in buying, that's a good gut check to understand, okay, what you're buying is now trading at a significant discount, or it's trading at an oversold level, or there's a lot of panic and a lot of fear out there, and you're deploying money into a market which is now giving you a good risk reward trade-off. It's giving you a good discount. But right now, that discount's not there. That's the only thing that we're here to assess. That's it. We're going to keep it very simple, not overcomplicated. That's all we're here to analyze, period. So, from a market standpoint, S&P, of course, just under 4,900. NASDAQ also at an all-time high. So almost at an all-time high. Of course, nowhere near close to that. Still needs to go up 5 to 7%, but almost there. And again, a lot of individual stocks, including the likes of Tesla and again, Enphase and PayPal continue to struggle so far in 2024. Volatility was up a little bit over 2.5%. I wouldn't be surprised if it does rally a little bit further, as we are seeing futures down significantly. So again, the levels are going to be 18 to 20. Markets will give us an opportunity. Don't you worry. They will provide a opportunity for us to dollar cost average into. There will be a buying window from the markets at some point. So that's exactly what I'm here to discuss, is that we don't have to stress about it. There will be a time in the markets when the VIX is high, right? And it'll be time to buy. And of course, we'll be able to dollar cost average back into the market at the right prices at the right times. So going back over to individual stocks here. So Apple first. Apple, getting a little bit of that rejection at 198. So that is going to be that resistance target. Support level is going to stay put down to 190. Talking about Amazon, as we already did very briefly, but next target and resistance is going to be up to 161. I'm going to be quickly running through these stocks with the analysis because there's not really much to go over because they're all trading at an all-time high and their valuations have grown so much, and they're all at overbought levels. So for me, none of them right now are buying opportunities, just considering because, the valuations are too high. They're all overextended and overbought. So the analysis is going to be very simple, straightforward, that look, overbought RSI, valuations too high, overextended on the upside. not really interested in buying at the moment. Apple, I did pick up in the 180s, as you guys know, because that 200 SMA looked pretty solid. We were oversold and we got a nice bounce off of that level. But of course, if it did drop down to 160s, I would have been a lot more interested in buying. Amazon here also in this consistent uptrend of higher highs and higher lows. Next resistance and targets up to 161. And I will be looking at potentially adding more, maybe in the 140s or 130s for Amazon. Tesla I already covered in a separate video, so make sure that you do check that out. Looks pretty brutal, but of course it's now come down to this lower low and that confluence of support in the 180. So that's going to be that level to watch. All the way down to 150s, that's going to be that next target. Nvidia on the other hand, all-time high, overbought, overextended. Just be super, super careful with what you're doing in NVIDIA because of how much it's already rallied and how much it's boomed from these levels, another 30, 34% for NVIDIA, trading at well over $600 per share. So price discovery right now, overbought, not really interested in buying at these prices at all. AMD also at an all-time high, overbought, overextended, price at an all-time high again. Support level is going to stay put down 157 down to $130. So have had AMD for some time now, so up quite a bit. We'll be looking at trimming my position slowly and steadily more and more. But again, congratulations to everyone who's been able to take advantage of this entire move to the upside. This has been an incredible rally for AMD. Talking about PayPal, and PayPal here selling off a little bit further, back down over 3.6% on the day. $60 support level is going to stay put at 56. Resistance and target all the way up to $77 per share for PayPal, with now once again a resistance at $65 per share for this company. Again, another dedicated, more specific video coming out on Visa very soon. This right here, again, overbought for Visa, very, very overbought. So we're seeing a lot of momentum to the upside at 272. Support level is going to stay put inside this green rectangle between 245 and 250 for Visa, and again, support level is going to stay put down to that 200 simple moving average for Visa as well. So those right there are going to be a few levels to keep in mind. Talking a little bit about Meta platforms, and Meta here also just trading at an all-time high, overbought RSI and MACD. You can see 75 RSI here. Support level is going to stay put down to 383, down to $352 per share for Meta. And again, all the way down to as low as this green rectangle in that support between 315 and 330 for this company as well. Talking about Netflix, and Netflix here continues to rally even higher, 562. The next target and resistance is going to be closer to 571, 572. And not to mention that we do also have a little bit of this gap. The white gap is going to be that filled eventually for Netflix as well. So this right here is going to be that area of gap that we need to understand that Netflix may eventually come down to fill in moving forward. Talking about Google here, Google we already did very briefly at an all-time high. Again, overbought RSI, MACD, valuation approaching $2 trillion. So there's not really much to go over other than the fact that it's overbought, and there is a possibility for maybe a little bit of profit taking eventually in some pullback. But right now we got to enjoy the ride with Google and Meta and AMD and Nvidia and Apple and Amazon, everything just rallying higher to new all-time high, including Microsoft at an all-time high at over $408. Very, very massive move. Support level is going to stay put down to 384, down to as low as 366 for Microsoft as well. And then finally, we got Enphase and Costco. So ENPH still struggling a little bit, so down to $106. I will be doing a separate video on Enphase as well very soon. But this right here, again, we are pretty much getting rejected at that resistance again. Support level is going to stay put down $92 for Enphase. And I think the yields have a lot to do with it because the 10-year yields affect Enphase, Tesla a little bit more than other stocks because they're more interest-sensitive sectors like solar, renewable, and EVs. And as soon as the yields started pushing higher, they're up a little bit over 10% since the last week of December. Enphase and Tesla have also struggled, right? So last week of December, you'll notice that we did see Enphase drop over 23%, and Tesla's also been on this selling pressure since the last week of December as well. So that is another thing to keep in mind for both of these companies. And then finally, Costco here also moving higher. Are starting to roll over now, down almost 1%. Next support level is going to be down to $644 per share. So hope you all enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Like I said, market's going to give us at least one opportunity to DC it into pretty aggressively, some serious buying opportunities very soon. So we got to be ready and prepared for when that happens. Just be patient, let the prices come to you. That's the recipe for long-term success, and not chasing these stocks higher and higher, because you'll know, like if you're chasing a price higher in hopes of making even more money because someone else is going to come around and pay a higher price, that's what the greater fool's theory is all about. So we gotta make sure that we don't fall into that trap. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful. Make sure that you drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Link to our Discord and Patreon is going to be down below. Would love to have you on board with that 16% annual discount link in the description below. As always, happy investing. I'll see you all in the next video.